So in the beginning of your career, and this is one of the things I find most interesting about your story, is you failed.
Yeah.
You actually pulled your now wife aside and said, I'm a sinking ship.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to leave, I would completely understand.
Yeah.
How did you go from that to, like, there was something you figured out.
Yeah.
What is that thing you figured out?
I think at that point, the reality of my situation was so bleak that I honestly didn't even process the reality of my situation, because the more I thought about it, like, the sadder, more hopeless I would feel. And so I focused on the few things that were under my control, which is like, I can do these things. And so when I talk about advertising, when I talk about selling, I talk about those things boiled down to the actual actions, because I had to think of it in that way, because it was the only way that it wasn't overwhelming. It's like, I just have to make 100 reach outs, or I just have to spend $100 a day, and I have to look at the ads, and I have to turn off the ones that are bad and do more of the stuff that starts to work. And that was the process of getting me from kind of like dark to a better outcome. But I mean, from that actual point, we did the only thing we knew how to do, which was market and sell, and that was how we got out of that. And honestly, that single skill of being able to generate leads, independent of the industry, has been like my get out of jail free card, which has allowed me to fail over and over and over again until finally, I got it right. And even after that one, when we were at the rock bottom there, I had just, 90 days earlier gotten a DUI. My mom was in the hospital, really bad shape. That's when I had just lost all the money, which is when I pulled her aside. But then fast forward 6 months, basically repeated the cycle again, which is we had started doing these launches where we'd fly out and turn gyms around like Bar Rescue, but for gyms. And when we were out there, all of a sudden we came back home and we saw like 2 of the gyms refunded all of the transactions, because they just told the people they could just sign up through them and just do it for half the rate, after we had already spent the money for the hotels and the flights and all the ad spend and every, a whole month of work. And so basically all the money that we had saved up in that, like, I think we're out of jail free, lost it all again. And only then did we accidentally pivot into the licensing model, which ended up becoming the thing that was like the first very big success that we had. But like, that whole period of time was 5 years of basically not having anything. Even though on paper, when I had the gyms, I materially looked successful because we had 6 locations. But I always just put all my money back into each new location. So I had very little actual cash. I was asset rich and cash poor.
I know the drill.
Yeah, right. And so, but then when I lost everything after that, because I sold them, took the money, put in the new venture, and then lost it, I was like, wait, I just lost 5 years, because I had nothing to show for it. And so that's probably what has created a lot of the hypothesis I have now around, I didn't lose the 5 years. I lost the assets which were not the most valuable thing that I had earned over that time. It was the skills, the experiences, the character traits, because I still had those. And then using those 3 things, I was able to do the next thing, fortunately.
Yeah. I'm obsessed with learning.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, because I've had the level of success that I've had, and because I'm technically middle-aged, it's just crazy to say. I used to be the kid, I swear to God. It's really, there's a gravitational center in my brain that wants me to think that I have crossed some line, and that it's about looking backwards, and it's really dangerous. Like, you have to be looking forward. I mean, God willing, I've got, another 40 plus years of life left. And every time that I get in that trap, I just re-anchor around, whoa, I'm still learning. Like, all this stuff, I'm 46, but I've learned so much. I failed so many times, and I've acquired so much knowledge and skill set and all of that. And then you can think about, oh, cool, like, as long as I've got the energy to keep pushing, to keep building, because I have, to your earliest point about what makes you successful, that is literally my kryptonite, is I have a very hard time accepting the fact that I can do anything I want with my life, but not everything.
Yeah.
And that I find deeply distressing, but like on a level that borders on mental illness.
Yeah.
And by focusing, cutting out the other stuff, and recognizing, okay, I've reinvented myself again, but a lot of that knowledge is going to transfer. It's going to be useful as I push forward. But getting obsessed with learning, like that would be the gift if I could give to people and say, okay, you want to be successful. I get it. Everybody wants it right now. But if you can stack these skills, like then if you've got the skill set and the methodology that, you and others can really lay out incredibly well, it's like now you can do something. But if you have the methodology but not the skills, or you don't have the mindset and so you're broken by the failure, or you don't have the methodology, if you're missing any one of those, then you end up in a death spiral.
Yeah. It's interesting what you're saying with the learning thing, because I think a lot of people that said like the early, because I have like, I feel like two parts of the audience that like follow my stuff. I've got the business owners who are trying to scale their business, et cetera. And then I've got all the people who want to start a business, and usually they're a little bit younger and whatnot. And I think there's a misnomer around like education. And so a lot of them, I don't know how explicit I can be, but like they mentally masturbate to watching lots and lots of videos. They, want the pump up speeches, they buy the tickets to the things. And so they just learn. And I think that they think that exposure to information is learning. And I don't think that's true, or at least it hasn't been for me.
It's definitely not true.
So, because I'm sure you get asked all the time, like, what are the books that, transform your life? And I've had a handful of books that have been useful to me, but I would say 99% of the things that I've learned through doing. And so when I do the original rule of 100 and whatnot, it's because I think it's the most effective way to learn, which is you force yourself on the one controllable that you have, which is the activities that you can take. And then it goes with the underlying assumption that you go off feedback and you're like, well, that opening message did not work, right? And then I think most people have a dramatic underestimation of how much volume it takes to be successful, independent of the thing, right? They're like, okay, I should go on 5 dates and then find the girl I'm gonna marry. Like, what if it was 500 to find the right girl you're gonna marry? Or I wanna, start this new channel, or I want to become an influencer, whatever it is, and they start doing, one post a day for 4 weeks, and they're like, why am I not famous yet? And they find, real,
so
right?
True. And
they find out that like, we ended up doing 400 episodes before we made it to the top 10 on the podcast thing. And now we start doing, 100 plus pieces of content a week. And it's just this volume game that you get the skill from the volume, the feedback from the volume. And there's all these like little things. I'm sure it's like from the exercise world, because you come from that. Like when you squat, the first time you squat, you're orienting yourself to your environment. You're barely actually squatting. You're just looking like you have a bar on your back. But you learn so much between that first rep and your 10,000th rep of squats. And so I think for most people, it's like, my goal, like with the learning, is like, if I can just decrease the action threshold for people to begin and be okay with the fact that they're going to suck, and it is okay to suck. You should expect to suck. And it would be unreasonable for you to be good if you haven't done it before. And so it's like, are you asking the universe to be unreasonable for you by expecting to be good on your first try? And I think that's where a lot of people, it's the expectation that destroys their ability to be successful, because they expect to win on the first shot, and no one does. If you liked this video and found it helpful, please hit that like and subscribe button so you do not miss our next video. We would love to hear your opinions on this topic, so feel free to leave a comment and let us know what you think. Remember, to live a generational life, you need a generational mindset. See you in the next video.